jobs through some of these LinkedIn posts, right? Something that we're really, really proud of. So I don't want to take much of our time because I'm sure many of us have Owambe to go to, some of us want to have family time. I'll just quickly move on to, meeting our guest for today. Meeting our guest for today. I'm so happy today because Rashid is more like a thought leader in the tech ecosystem, especially in the data world, right? And he's going to be spitting lots of wisdom and allow me to use wisdom, sort of experience in the data ecosystem with you all today. I'm so excited to hear from him. Rashid is a founder of the Aggregate. Yes, he's a founder and also works as the chief data scientist at GDM Group. Yeah, for you to be able to grow to become a chief data scientist, first of all, to be a data scientist is not beans, right? Now, for you to now become a chief data scientist, that speaks a lot of experience and knowledge. And I'm super excited to be on this call with Rashid while he shares his insights about the data world. Mic check, Rashid. Are you on the call?
Yeah, good morning. I am.
All right, Rashid. It's really, really good to have you here. I'm sure everybody on this call can't wait to, learn from you today.
Thanks
All
very
right.
much.
Yes, yes. So Rashid, if you don't mind, you would like to, put a face to the voice. Would like to see your face while, we're on this session. It will be very great if we see your face. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to open my face. Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
all right.
Good morning. Yeah.
Okay, Rashid.
Morning.
All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, please, you can go on. I thought you wanted to say something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Thanks for having me on this show. Right. I think this is the first time I'm engaging quantum analytics. Right. I think I've seen the lot work you guys have done, and over time, what you've put in place in terms of resources, curriculum. Because one of the biggest things to do is to put up a curriculum and then follow through some of those curriculum to have graduate from the school. And for me, I think this is trying to change the level at which people can see the opportunity while walking through the normal universities and then coming back to see, oh, you have some knowledge to catch up with when you want to enter if you want to enter the field in the business world.
Thank you very much, Rashid. We are really excited to have you too. So, guys, see, this is an opportunity for you because this kind of opportunities don't show up every day, right? If you're looking at asking questions, you have questions that you need clarity on about data analytics, about the data world generally, this is the time to ask. So, you can start dropping your questions in the chat box while I read it out to, Karim, Rashid, and I'm sure we'll be happy to give answers to these questions. But before I start seeing your questions, I have a few questions for Rashid, right? Rashid, you just give us like an introductory in a way of how you got started in the data world. You can just give us some insight into that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's a long journey anyway. I think it's been 10 years, trying to build things around data and all of that, right? Yeah, so I would say, my journey is totally different from every other person's journey because, a whole lot of people want to pivot. I wasn't pivoting, right? The whole journey of, being analyzing data, looking into data shapes and the likes, right? Started when I was in the university. I studied demography and social statistics from University of Ife, uh, with first class, right? So
Hi, I think we lost
work with data.
Rashid. Okay, Rashid, I think we lost you for a while. Yeah.
Yes, a call came in on my phone. Sorry, I was using
Okay.
my hotspot.
All right.
Sorry, I was using my hotspot. So I think for me, right, a whole lot of things needs to revolve around my experience right from the school, right from the university days, and what I've experienced from learning some of these analytics from the school. right? When we're in the university, we're exposed to normal mathematical algorithms, statistics, major statistics, regression analysis, correlation analysis, or double integral, partial correlation and the likes in the university. And this is more of application. It's not just about theory. We write some of these things in exam, right? We do calculations and everything. So the journey was seamless. And I think when I was in part 3, I think year 3, I was also teaching statistics to most of the students from year 1 to up to year 3. I was even teaching my class at that point in time, right? And when we got to part 4, I established a data analyst company in the school, right? I can remember very well. I named it R&B Concepts, right? And I could remember, I think I made close to like 100,000 naira while I was in the university analyzing data with just two tools. Then we had no experience around Microsoft Excel. We're not using Microsoft Excel to do anything, right? We're using SPSS and Stata programming language, right? Stata programming language is a bit universal when you go to the academic environment. Stata and SAS are the two, academic software for data analysis, because there are a lot of data that you see in different countries of the world. Let me give you an example. There's a data called NIS data set, right? That's the US health data set, right? There's a repository for the US data set that's called NIS, and the best tool to use to analyze this, if you probably work in a department that collects some of this data, programming language, or you use SAS, right? So all of these, are what we've been doing from the university. So when we came into the business environment, right, it was a seamless job for us. We're just trying to use the experience we've had in the university, and then we come into the business world, and then we start trying Excel out, and then I think Power BI came in 2015, 2014, 2013, thereabout, into the shore here in Nigeria, where people start knowing Power BI and the likes. And then people start using Power BI, start using Power Query and the likes. And Microsoft started growing that capacity around some of these tools. And then Python also came. It became the limelight. Everybody started talking about Python. And then, people start learning Python as well. SQL has been there over the years. And people start learning more about SQL because there are a lot of, integration some of these guys who build some of these tools are building into their system. But nevertheless, the experience has been seamless for me. For many people who have trained over the years, it wasn't the same story, because they were pivoting from maybe you're doing accounting before and you became a data analyst. You're a microbiologist and you became a data analyst. You're a biochemistry student, you're a chemical engineer, you became a data analyst. So they were pivoting, but for me, right, it wasn't a pivoting. It was just follow through the journey right from the the university's days.
Thank you very much. Thank you very. I really loved, the way you actually explained how your journey started, right? But something actually, piqued my interest, which is the fact that you said you have people that you've been able to put through, and some of these guys have been able to transition from, from like a less data background, to a data background. So will you say, does that mean to say that it's very possible to, transition, into data analytics regardless of your, academic background or your present career?
Yeah. So because data in itself, right, it's not just about analysis, right? Everything you do on a daily basis revolves around data. Anywhere you work in the world, right? You probably keeping some files. You're an admin person. You're an accountant. You're probably managing data in one way or the other, right? The only thing that happens is making sense out of data is the major thing that you want to now learn, basically. And then when an accountant put up a lot of data in terms of analysis of accounting process, right? Putting some of these things into trends, putting some of these things into visualization, putting some of these things into forecast is what you need to now learn, and all of that. If you're in the engineering, right, you've learned a lot of things around computer science, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, and all of that. While you are trying to position some certain things in your architecture and the likes as well, you trying to work around data as well, right? And then that's why you see a lot of people trying to integrate, AutoCAD with Power BI today, and they're trying to build some things around visualization with, architecture and the likes, electrical designs and all of that. So all of these things is basically very, very seamless because you already have some knowledge, right? It's easier for you to pivot into any space of data. And then from the background that you have, right? Also in the recent time, determines, what exactly or which parts should you now, take on and set as a journey for yourself. If you've done things and you're very good in the engineering, right? I would say, for instance, you could go into data engineering basically, right? And you start, gradually, right? And you start learning some other things as well that could help you in the process. If you've done things around social sciences and the likes, I would say, you can start with Power BI and all of that, visualization, DAX formulas and the likes. And you've done something, maybe you are a philosophy student and you didn't even know anything about analysis, start from Excel, basically. When you start things from Excel, it makes it easier for you because just simple functions and simple mathematical steps in Excel, functions and algorithms in Excel and formulas in Excel, you are able to do some things and, and you get motivated to move forward a bit as the case may be. If you're in the medical sciences, for instance, and you've been a doctor, you've learned physiotherapy and the likes and a lot of things, it's easier for you to also, get into Excel and learn some things. And then you move into maybe some of these, medical software, data programming language, SAS and the likes, and then you build capacity from that. So that's it for me. For me, it's seamless, basically. You just need to understand where you're going and then how you want to build that capacity within a short period of time.
Thank you very much. I liked the fact that you gave, different scenarios to how they can bring in their transferable skills into data and how they can use it to transition and grow from there. It's really a very way of answering this question. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So you mentioned some tools, right? Now we are in 2023, right? I'm sure that there are lots of tools out there can be used to analyze data. But for a beginner, like an entry level data analyst, someone that wants to get started, what tools will you recommend that they start with? Like set of tools, yes.
Okay, great. So it depends on which journey you take again, right? But for anybody who wants to be an analyst, right? I think, if you don't know Excel, if you don't know Microsoft Excel, you know nothing. Forget about the fact that someone says Python is the next language you want to learn. The reality is, what does Python do, basically? And let me explain. I think there's a kind of myth around all this Python and the likes, right? The reality is, when you work in corporate organizations, right, nobody cares. Nobody cares about what exactly you are using to solve problem. What you want to see is you get a solution for them. And the reality is, right, for non-data people, right, the only tool they're familiar with that you can easily communicate with them, you can easily communicate through with them, right, is Microsoft Excel. Because it's like the standard for everybody entering an organization. We have close to like 1 billion people using Microsoft Excel today, right, based on statistics, right? So the reality is, if you don't know Microsoft Excel, it's the basics. When you understand Microsoft Excel, you can do a lot of things with Microsoft Excel. I've done, thousands and millions of things with Microsoft Excel. I've built capacity with Microsoft Excel. Even in big organizations that you think, I've worked with the biggest FMCGs in the world, right? Mention them, Nestle PLC, Diageo, and the likes, right? And the reality is, even for the fact that these guys are the biggest companies in the world, right? Their basic, their foundation, their knowledge doesn't, most of the time, generally doesn't pass you communicate with them through Microsoft Excel. So anybody who wants to start the journey as a data person, start from Microsoft Excel, deal with data, understand data type. You need to understand what is CSV, what is a binary, workbook, what is a normal Excel workbook and all of that. So when you understand some of these things, then you can start, progressing to other things that allows you to to build more capacity, then you go into maybe different visualization tool, Power BI, Tableau, Google Data Studio, and a whole lot of them like that. And then when you move from there, there can be instances where people say, oh, we just need to get some things from the internet and we need to automate the process. Then you learn Python. You go, and let me tell you one thing. Python is not a problem solver, right? Most of the time. Python is not a problem solver. It's just one of those processes that you need to take to get a problem solved, right? And the reason why a lot of people need to learn Python today is because, it's easier to integrate with AI, right? It's the whole noise around data-centric AI, revolves around Python, right? Because Python is easier. And the reason is, it's not that people are not using Java to build AI. It's not that people are not using, Golang to build AI. It's not that people are not using, some of these Swift and the likes of different languages to build AI. But the reality is, when it comes to data-centric AI, a lot of people have built libraries and documentation that makes it seamless to use Python to build, artificial intelligence. And that's just the whole story about Python and the like. But the basics, the foundation, is Microsoft Excel and different other visualization tools.
Thank you. So guys, you can hear for yourself, there are some basic tools that you should, start with Excel, and pick up some visualization tools. And you can always upskill, you can always learn on the job, you can always improve your skills, by taking one or two courses again. All right. So guys, see, I want you to ask questions because Karim he has a lot of information to dish out today. And if you're not asking these questions, you may not be able to get the information that relates to you. So it's very, very good that you can ask questions in this session. Use the chat box, drop your question in the chat box, and I will definitely read your question out to Karim, and we'll attend to it. All right. So Rashid, you actually mentioned some things, about data world, how to get started, the journey, but I'd like to ask, how well are the opportunities in the data world? Like, how well are they?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest space to look at today is the data space, right? Because a lot of advancement in technology has made it possible for computer to process large amount of data, right? Now, let me give you an instance. I was teaching my guys yesterday, a normal computer networking, how IP addresses works and all of that, right? And how this could also help them in understanding, data technologies, right? The reality is, right, a lot of data flies around today, right? And before now, people couldn't, put all this data into silos, right? And warehouse them. But today, it's just millions of capacity that, some of these wise guys have built. And it's really helping a lot of people to put data together. Let me give you an instance, right? I use Google BigQuery very well, right? And let me tell you one thing. The funniest thing is Google has close to 200 categories of data sets that you can have access to, just public data sets basically, right? And then some of the time, each of the warehouses in this data set, right? Each of the warehouses some of these data sets, warehouses close to 1 petabyte of data. And all of these data are just public data sets, basically. And for instance, let me give you an instance, right? You go on Twitter, you look at conversations, you can mine close to 1 million conversations within 10 minutes. And that's the beauty of advancement in technology, right? And then when you can do this easily, right, it creates a lot more opportunity for the data space. Because when you're mining a lot of data out at every point in time, at every minute, at every seconds and the likes, right, it gives a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to have access to data to analyze. And then it gives a lot of company as well to look at what exactly they need to analyze and what exactly they need to do in terms of data, basically. So a whole lot of these things are things that you need to put together when you're looking at data and opportunities, right? And it's just endless. It's just endless to see what exactly data can do for you, in the space. Sorry. Sophia. Seconds. Sorry, a minute, please.
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So, looking at the data world, right, you need to see the advancement in this technology. When you understand the advancement in this technology, you already know that this is a space to go. And let me give you all the opportunities that are, that are available for you. One, right, you can work with one of the biggest companies in the world, right? All of these guys, analyze data on daily basis. It just depends on the level at which they are analyzing the data, right? Now, number two is that you have a lot of different spaces that people have created. Before now, we don't have a chief data scientist, right? It was just a progression in the data space that created, chief data scientist. And when you get to a level of chief data scientist, it's not about, analyzing data again. It's about, telling companies, varieties of companies within maybe a group of company on how to make sense out of data, on how to get more revenue using data and building data intelligence capacity for different businesses within your group company. And that's it. And you can be an ML engineer, you can be an ML researcher, you can be a data analyst, you can be a data scientist, you can be a data engineer, you can be analytics engineer, you can be a database administrator, you can be a data, you can be a database engineer. That's a different thing entirely, right? You can be, a lot of things within the data space. There's this new space now, which is ML ops, right? The way you have DevOps, people are trying to create a name around ML ops as well. And when immediately people create, some of this name, and they put some of the, job description into it, right? It becomes a space already in the data space. And there are a lot of these spaces where you can get to as a data person. You can become a vice president, data science. For different company, you can be a principal data science. Different roles are being created already, for the data space, and there are a lot of opportunities for you in the data space as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Invariably, what you are trying to say now is there are a lot of opportunities, because there's still even, the roles are even evolving. There are more opportunities being opened.
Yeah, of course.
And yes. Thank you very much for that. So we have a question from Greg Ifunaya. This question is a very wide question, right? Ifunaya is saying, what does tech or IT encompass? That's a lot of information that will be dished out there. Karim, please, would you like to shed some light on that?
Okay, sorry. So the question is, what does tech encompass, right?
Yes.
Well, I think it's a very broad question to answer, actually. But let me just do a quick justice to what tech actually encompasses, right? So tech in itself, right on from the age of computer, science, algorithm, right? Mathematics and computer science, basically, right? And from that time, there's a lot of structural capacity development around tech and information technology, basically, right? Because there's no way, because the beginning of tech is actually information technology, right? So there are a lot of things that people are now trying to build. Now, when they get to a milestone, there are three things that normally happen, right? They look at what capacity does this space need? What is the process, and what security do we put in place, right? Now, in any avenue where you see, technologists, there are three things they're doing. They're either, trying to build into understanding, developing a new research, or creating a process for maybe a research that has been understood, and trying to put in security, basically. Now, the tech ecosystem basically has a lot to do with infrastructure hardware, software, data, security, right? Let me mention it again. Infrastructure, software, hardware, data, and security, right? These things are what forms, the foundation or the embodiment of what tech encompasses. And let me start from infrastructure. Now, if you work in any organization, right, you always have IT departments in any organization. Now, what most of the time these guys manage is your company infrastructure. And that's where you see guys that did, computer networking, server administration and all of that, right? They help you to install, or manage your on-premise server to ensure that all the emails and everything you are sending, right, it's being managed within a network within your organization. That's infrastructure. Now, when you go to hardware, right, everybody knows Elon Musk today, right, is building EVs, right, electric vehicles, right? Now, there are a lot of things to put into space, when it comes to hardware technology, building EVs, right? And a lot of things around robotics and people are building, and that's hardware, right? Now, a lot of opportunities are out there. If you want to build capacity around hardware, you build a lot of Raspberry Pi and the likes, right? You build a lot of opportunities around hardware, and then you create a space for yourself. When you go on YouTube, you're going to see thousands and millions of Indian guys who build hardware technologies and all of that from scratch, right? Now, and there are different languages that you use and different ways, automations and all of that, especially for people who have done electrical engineering and all of that. There are a lot of things that people put together, nodes and the likes, to ensure that, there's a connection from a particular, section of, of a node to another, right? And then when you go to software is big. The space makes it easier because software is not hardware. Software is things that every human being uses on a daily basis. You can say close to 4 billion people on the internet, uses what? Software on a daily basis. When you have a smartphone, there's software already on your smartphone. And that's why software development, becomes, the space that everybody talks about, even bigger than data sometimes, right? And then when you come to data, that's the one we're talking about today. The space is also big. This is just part of tech. And then you now go to security, right? Now, when you go to security, right, that's when you go to cybersecurity. Looking at people trying to ensure that, guys are not hacking the system. You could hear in the recent time in Nigeria, the chairman of INEC was saying that some guys are trying to hack the system, and, vulnerability tests for different organizations and all of that, and you see guys who are in cybersecurity space, right? Let me give you one of the importance of cybersecurity. Let me give you an instance of cybersecurity. Now, all of you would have heard about Flutter Waves and other guys, right? Doing, transactions and all of that, and everything they do works around, the cloud, and then, the servers, and then on the internet. Their businesses are all around internet. Any business that relies on, transactions on the internet, you must build thousands and millions of layers of security for your business. And one attack can destroy the value of an organization within the twinkle of an eye. And that's why you see a lot of companies who build data centers as well, right? Amazon, Azure, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Google. When you get to the data center, you see a lot of, large capacity of security. And the reason is because, some guys have sat down in India, in Iran, in Russia, in China, and some other places where you have a high level of, black hat hackers, who can easily just throw, Trojans and viruses into your system, immediately get cross into your IPs and all of that, and then they can easily, infect some files, and then it becomes a problem for you, right? And the reality is, if someone sends a DDoS attack to your system, basically, I can tell you, right, I know companies that, they've built their security and IAM policy with public cloud providers in such a way that when attack come on their system, right, a DDoS attack is a denial of service. When a DDoS attack comes to your system, any organization you work with, when a DDoS attack comes into your system and is the most prevalent, apart from phishing, attack, DDoS is the next, right? DDoS attack, they now everybody who you render service to enjoy service at that point in time. Let me give you an instance. Most of you would have worked with GTB apps, right? Most of the time you want to just send money to someone and you're trying to log in at that point in time, and it's showing, it's just rolling, it's not even logging, and you're sure your network is fine. Most of the time, there are attacks sent to this guy's system that these guys are trying to wear off of their system, and it's the one denying you some of these services. And the reality is some of them have built IAM policies and securities onto their system that allows you to just load balancing into another server and get into their system while some of these attacks. So the tech space provides all of this for you, and then you now look at it, which part of this section can I fit into? But the reality is you have to just start from somewhere, basically. And then most of the guys that started from ethical hacking eventually become a cybersecurity guys at the end of the day, right? When you know how things are being hacked, you can go into cybersecurity. So these are just what I can say about the tech, space in itself.
Thank you very much, Karim. Thank you so much. You actually give very wonderful insights from there, and I'm sure that I'm sure that if and I actually got some insight. Okay, so I'll just move on to, I have two questions, right? I'm sure you've answered one of the questions before, so I'll just combine the two questions. So Emily is saying, Emily is saying that as a biochemist, what best tool is required for me to use in my field? And one who has no knowledge at all, how do one start? Then Antonia is saying, so can someone with accounting background migrate into tech? Yeah, that's a yes, but I'll see. Karim can still answer that, right? But please, hope you got the first question and the second question.
Yes, I got it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think a biochemist, right? I have friends who are biochemists, right? So first of all, right, it depends on what you want to do, right? For a biochemist, right, if you feel you still want to build capacity in the academic environment, right? Well, I would say, you could, lay your hands on maybe SaaS as a tool, because these are the tools that you use most of the time in the academic environment, right? But if you're coming into a corporate environment, I would say you should build capacity around Excel, and then you top it up with Power BI and maybe SQL skills, right? And then just sometimes you might not have the opportunity to play with SQLs for any company, because SQL is more around, you trying to build things around database, and people don't joke with their database most of the time. And that's why you don't see a lot of people, bringing you in. You're just learning SQL as a database person, right? Because database requires more than just, SQL, right? So you can learn peripheral of SQL, but be strong in Microsoft Excel. If you know Microsoft Excel very well, I can employ you, right? So that's the reality. I can bring you in. If you learn Microsoft Excel from quantum analytics, I can bring you in into my system and start building capacity with you. And I have a couple of guys who come from other schools as well that have actually, have interned with me over some times, and then, they intern with me, and then we pay them some stipends, and then they grow from there. Some of them are working as, as data analysts and project managers now, working with multinationals. I have a guy who works for PZ now, from our company, and then managing, close to like, 500 stores in Nigeria, gathering data from these stores, and all of that. So the reality is, as a biochemist, if you don't want to stay in the academics, learn Microsoft Excel and build your capacity around that, right? That's what I can say about a biochemist, right? If you are into accounting, you've done accounting in the school, right? The first question is, why do you want to pivot into data space? That's the first question, right? I'm very sure there are a lot of opportunities in the accounting space, but sometimes some people just feel, oh, there's a noise around data, let me just go there. It's not about that, right? Basically, it's all about you trying to see what do you have passion doing, right? There's a girl who came to my office some few months ago, and he said, okay, he has learned something in one of the school where I taught before, and then he want to intern with me, right? I said, first of all, when it came to me, I said, tell me what exactly do you have passion doing? Because sometimes, you might not even have passion doing the data, right? The first reason why you go into accounting may be because maybe you were just giving up. It's a passion. So the reality is, if you have passion into data space, right? I would say the most important thing still falls around, you understanding Microsoft Excel, because at the end of the day, people would understand that you did accounting, and they don't take that for granted. If you said you did accounting in university, whether you're a data person, at some point in time, they want to push some accounting stuff to you as well, right? So you can, lay the foundation with Microsoft Excel, and then you can build more capacity in analyzing, on visualizing data with Power BI. Yeah, I think Power BI does a lot of work, and Tableau, they're going to do a lot of work with you for you, even helping consultants. You can help consultants, accounting consultants to visualize data into Power BI, right? You take all your P&L, you take all your, balance sheets, you take all your management accounts, you take all your maybe your management accounting, audited accounting or anything. You can put a whole audited accounting, formats in Power BI and put in a visualization. It's that seamless. I've done it before for a lot of people, right? And that's the reality. So for me, as an accountant person, look at your passion first, and then you start from Microsoft Excel and maybe some of the visualization too. Don't rush into Python. Start building automations for people that relates to accounting, right? Numerical analysis and the likes. That's when you go to Python. Don't rush into Python. If you want to come into an organization where you want to work and you want to talk to people about what you're doing, start from Microsoft Excel and then build capacity around Power BI or Tableau.
Thank you, Karim. That's a well, um, a very cool way to tackle these questions. Even me myself, I actually have a better way to answer these questions now. The way you've, just from the way you've answered this question. I believe Emily and Antonia got the answers they actually want. I believe from here you'd have a clear, way to transition into data and what steps you should take. Kalu, if you can't hear the audio well, I think it could be your network, or you can exit and
Possibly,
join
yeah.
again. Yeah, we can hear clearly. Stanley can also confirm that. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just quickly, talk about another, ask another question from you, because, in tech, you'd agree with me that the CV is important, but, portfolio is as important, and that will bring me to asking CV versus portfolio, which is like a very top priority.
Oh, because this is different organizations, right? And then every organization has the policies, right? But I think we are trying to, with communities that we are building, we're trying to, in the recent time, we're trying to enlighten some of the, HRs in different organizations. I think there's some couple of posts I've put out there some few years ago, and then trying to enlighten some of these HRs in different organizations. Some of them just go out there and just, copy some things online and then put it as, oh, you must have this, you must have this, you must have this, you must have this when you're coming into an organization. At the end of the day, what they're going to give you at the end of the day is just something that you just look back and say, this is not really what exactly I expected in this organization. So the reality is, I think your CV still, works because first of all, right, the only way your portfolio works fine, right, is when you have an organization who syncs their recruitment process with expert in the data field, right? Your portfolio works well for you. But when you have an organization who really doesn't even know anything, they've never even had a data person, ensure your CV is perfect, because the reality is they cannot also decipher what exactly you know, because it's difficult to test you. I can remember very well, right, while I was joining Hexon Holdings, GDM Group in 2017, right? And the guy that was leaving, the guy works in the MCN, right? And he was just trying to put me through some certain things and all of that, right? And I was saying, oh, I know this, I know that, and all of that. I think even like 2 questions he gave me, I didn't even know some of those questions, and that was in Microsoft Excel, right? And then I told him, oh, I know this, I know some of this, and all of that, right? By standard, if it's an HR person who really doesn't also understand what you know, right? It will be very difficult for you to say, oh, you also know this. How do we know you can solve the problem? But because the company has someone who already is a data expert, and then he can guide them and say, oh, this guy can do, even if he doesn't know this now, it doesn't take him 1 minute or 2 minutes to know. So some of the time, ensure that your CV, it's very key, right? And portfolio is now much more key in the space now, because the guys in the abroad now, because there's a lot of economic downturn, right? A lot of guys in the abroad, in the US and the UK and the likes, are looking for a very low hanging fruit in the African continent, right? It means that what I'm trying to say is, if they pay $40,000 per annum for a white guy or for a UK guy out there, right? They want to see a guy that they pay $15,000 maybe annually, right? And then the reality is, they don't deal most of the time about CVs. What they deal about is, do you have a portfolio? We want to see the work you've done. We want to see your recommendation and all of that. So portfolio is also very big in this part. So you just need to see how you can make the two better. In Nigerian context, people still regard with your CV. Send CV to us, that's what they say. But for me personally, I would say your portfolio, is much more better than a CV that you have at any point in time. Because most of the time, I don't even look bad at my CV. Just go to my LinkedIn. It will tell you the story of what I've done in my life, right? It will tell you the story of what I have in capacity, right? So I really don't need to. When I go for any meetings, I don't do interviews. I want to converse with you on how you want to build and develop your company. I don't do interview with people anymore, right? So what do you want to ask me? Do you know what you are even asking me? That's the problem. So the reality is, your portfolio also speaks a lot, in this recent time, because a lot of companies abroad want to also employ you, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very, very, very much. I see this conversation, is becoming very, very, very interesting, and I can see Promise is saying, "Hi, hello, Rashid. You have been a guest for about 4 times in this program with your experience in the data space. Okay, how would you rate the outline for this course and why? Also, what level of data competency can one expect from this course?" So quickly, before Karim answers that question, I'll just quickly run through our course outline. So we have Excel, we have um, Microsoft SQL, right? We have PostgreSQL, we have Power BI, Tableau, and we have problem solving skills by McKinsey. Because it's one thing to know how to use these tools, but it's another thing to know how to use it to solve real life problems, right? And you work up to like 15 projects, because we understand that for projects it's very, very important that you tackle real life problems or case studies, and this really give you help in your journey. So Karim, please, I just listed our curriculum, like basically what they should expect. I hope you'll be able to respond to his question now.
Okay, so first of all, right, quantum analytics has been there over the years, and the reality is, for companies to have, companies that are not good, within 1 year they will pack off. That's the reality. And then schools that are not okay, within 2 months, you get to know their problems, right? And the reality is, this is a fantastic journey they're building for you guys, as far as I'm concerned, right? They would help you to grow your capacity, not just because you're learning data with them. They help you grow your capacity in seeing how you can, solve problems, right? Because the most important thing company employ you for is to solve problem, right? I said it from the beginning. I said, nobody cares about the tool you use. What people want to hear is, have you solved the problem? As soon as you solve the problem, right, everybody is happy, right? And the reality is, looking at your curriculum, right, the guided principles, right? I think that's the international standard as far as I'm concerned. I think that's the international standard. Yeah. You know, their founder, you can't just, do it just a mere curriculum, right? And they've been doing this over the years. They build and rebuild capacity for a lot of people. So for me, I think it's a good journey to take with quantum analytics, and then you can build more capacity while you're working with them, right? And then most of the time, go and look at businesses or schools. Look at the person who founded the company. Does he have the right skill as well? Look at it very well. Does he have the right skill as well? Anybody who founded a business or a school and he doesn't have the right skill, right? He doesn't even know what to do in the first place. Go and check the founder of quantum analytics. It tells you a story already that this guy knows what he's doing, right? I founded a data intelligence company. I didn't go and found a Deloitte, I didn't go and found a manufacturing company. I don't know how to manufacture. This is what I know how to do, right? And I want to build my capacity around this, but building some, some technologies in the aggregate recently. We are not a school. We are not a school. What we do basically is we help organizations, we do B2B, and we're building technologies and all of that. And we give space to people that learn from school. If you learn from any school, we can take you in to come and intern with us. Sometimes it could be unpaid internship, it could be paid internship, right? Depending on our capacity within a period of time. And then, some of these things that quantum analytics is doing, bringing some of us, into their space and all of that, talk to you guys. It's an opportunity as well, to also, get to know us, right? When we give you opportunities to come into, work on practical projects in our businesses, it gives you a lever already, and then you move from there, as far as I'm concerned. So for quantum analytics, they've been there over the years, and no lies, right? They're going to give you the best, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much, Karim, for that. I was even surprised that you actually know about our founder's background, and it's really interesting to hear that. And we also really like what you are doing in your organization, the aggregate, doing solving a lot of wonderful problems for organizations, and helping them grow, because it's very, very important that organizations can take very intelligent business decisions. Thank you very much for that, Karim. Okay, so have a question here from Prince. He's saying, hello, Rashid, you have done justice on this topic. Thank you. My question is, can anyone learn data? Okay, that's Microsoft Excel. The Monday is saying, how will I go about data analysis? I think we mentioned this already, but except Karim wants to, shed more light on this.
Yeah, so I think that was two questions. Someone was saying Microsoft Excel and how do someone do data analysis? Okay, right?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
So the reality is, right, when you get to, I think quantum analysis will solve this problem, will solve this question. How do you analyze data? And how do you learn Microsoft Excel? I can only tell you what tools are out there, right? And then Microsoft Excel is easier to learn, right? But the reality is when you get to companies, there are intricacies that you need to understand. And you only understand some of these things when you go to school, where they have, couple of, experiences around what companies does on daily basis and what they can give to you when you become, an analyst, right? So they teach you analysis, variety of analysis. They will give you case studies, right? So when they give you case studies, it's more or less like an application. In school, we always learn theory. Nobody, hardly applies anything. But when you get to some of these, modern schools that, that you have as quantum analytics, right, you get to learn more around how to analyze data in real life, how to, work with Microsoft Excel in real life. And then from there, it's a seamless process for you. When you now enter an organization, right? because you've done some series of case studies and learnings and all of that, anything they give to you, right, even if it's going to take you to learn within 2 minutes and 3 minutes and watch some videos, or or learn some things and all of that. And because some quantum analysis also have like a kind of mentorship, right? Now, I have a couple of people. Let me give you an example. I was in Lagos, and a friend of mine is in Abuja. He's not a data guy. We've just worked together in some places years back, right? And his friend, this my friend, his own friend is going for an interview. I think that was Uber, right? Or Bolt that time, right? When Uber and Bolt just landed in Nigeria. So they went for the interview, and then Uber gave them a kind of test, right? And then, a whole lot of them couldn't even solve the problem right from there, right? But just because my friend knows that, Rashid, this guy, he used to do data. He doesn't even know what I know, actually. He doesn't, because we've departed for like years, right? He's been in Abuja for years. I've been in Lagos for years. He just called me and he forwarded the whole Excel to me. I must tell you, the question that Uber UK, the company that set that exam that time was Uber UK and Uber US, right? The question they set was Microsoft Excel, but it has a lot to do with understanding intricacies of case studies and how to analyze. They forwarded the whole Excel to me. They said, Rashid, you have to solve this problem for us. The guy has finished the whole interview, and after this level, he needs just to meet, maybe I think talk to the CEO of Uber in Nigeria and all of that, and he gets the job done. Right? When he sent this to me, I looked at it. I said, these are things that my boys can do in the office now. I said, no problem. Let me just walk through it. And the whole of the test, I finished it in that night. The same night, it sent around, I think 6 p.m. when the guy came back from the interview. So I sent it back to him around 9 p.m. Right? When I sent it back to him, he said, Rashid, why did you send the question back? You send the question back to us, but we told you to help us analyze. I said the analysis will be in the same Excel. And the guy said, okay, so you mean you have finished the work? I said, yes, I'm done with the work. Just get. So the guy got it. He submitted that same night, and the guy got a job, right? So for that years, they've been talking. They want to come and see me. They want to just look at me. They want to just know who I am. This must be a miracle or something. I said, it's not a miracle. It's what we've been doing over the years. It's part of what is our own job. What is your job is your job, right? I can't lay a block. I don't know how to cast a block. A bricklayer, I will have to call a bricklayer. That's the reality. Your job is your job. You must know it. Now, the second one, I have a friend of mine. This is just a very close friend of mine, right? He left one of the brewery companies, right? I think dry gin companies, and he was trying to engage me and say, "Oh, Rashid, I'm going for one interview, and this guy, they want to pay me a good money." That's the way that my friend used to talk. This thing, they gave us one work. I know that work. And this guy has been a guy that have come to me. I've taught him Excel sometimes before. He has even been to my house. I've taught him Excel and all of that. He said, this thing, you go solve it. You're the one that will solve this problem. I can't, and I need to submit it today. So I got what was it called from him. I looked at the Excel. I said, okay, this is what he wanted to solve. I solved it and sent him back to him. He got a job. I think he's still working with them now, right? And he was, oh, Rashid, I really appreciate you. I'm just looking, you are not living where you were living before. I want to come and see you and all of that. So the thing is, while you are learn from organizations like this, right? You have mentorship program that they give to you. So anytime you get stalled, right? You quickly check in and say, oh, I'm trying to solve this problem. Does anybody knows in the community? And let me tell you one thing. All of us in the data space, if I get stalled today on building some data intelligence software, I'll just go back to the community and ask question, how far does anybody knows this thing? And that's how I get it solved some of the time. And that's the reality. And that's why you see ChatGPT today, you have Stack Overflow and the likes, when you're building capacity. And for all of us in the tech space, that is what we do on daily basis. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rashid, for that. I would ask like the final question now, before we just move on. So, and the question is, how well will you, say, how well you say data analysts, data scientists earn? Like, do they earn really well? You know, even when they work remotely.
Why do you want to work remotely? Well, that's the I think that's the culture now around the world, right? The you know, the first thing is, I'm a kind of person that I really don't like working remotely with my guys, and my guys suffers that today, right? I love to see my guys on daily basis and say, oh, what are the problems we're solving? Let's brainstorm. I like to brainstorm like every day with my guys, right? So, and then when we're doing it virtually, someone could say, oh, my network is bad and all of that. So I really don't like it. So we do some couple of days, we do hybrid now, right? So the reality is, when it comes to remuneration, or when it comes to what pay could you get from being a data analyst or a data scientist, man, it's a lot of money. I will put it that way, it's a lot of money, right? Because the reality is, apart from you getting salary, right, there are certain things that you can do. When it comes to Nigerian, space or Nigerian environment, right? They could base you on, normal executive level, managerial level and all of that salaries, basically. But when it comes to, working for the guys abroad, right? They have standard salary scale set for some of these positions, right? And then I think the last time I checked it, right, a senior data analyst could do like, I think close to $125,000, per annum or so, and that's a lot of what you see an investment analyst, getting in the US and all of that. A senior investment analyst getting in the US, or $150,000 or 160,000. I think the last time I checked, a senior data scientist, gets $168,000, right, per annum. So, and that is what exactly I would say the salary scale is out there. But for a data analyst who is just starting up in an environment, in Nigeria, they could start with you with 100,000, maybe close to 100,000. From there, you progress to 150, 250, 300. Multinationals could pay you well, 500,000, right? 500,000. But the reality is, you might not start with that money, right? And the what I advise people on is that, take the job, manage yourself, even when the money is not there. Use those companies to build, your capacity, and then throw your balls out there, right? Money comes to you when you have knowledge. I must tell you, right? Around I think that was around April, May, I was training a company, right? And for every class I go to, to train them, right? Virtually, right? I was getting close to like maybe, 30K or something within 2 hours, right? So, and I trained them for, I think, for almost 8 weeks or so, getting to like 300K, just to my pulse, without doing anything so critical um, in terms of writing on the board, or pushing anything forward, right? Just letting these guys understand the data, right? And I have a job I'm doing for you guys in the US, right? And this guy pays me, as I went do, right? I run data analysis on, US health data, NIS data, US NIS data. I have a lady who is an Indian girl who has been disturbing me for a while now, trying to set up a meeting with me. She's an Indian girl, and she's a student in the US, right? I have someone just sending a message to me, now. It was, the person was actually, referred from the US from a friend, who graduated together in Ife. He's currently doing a master's in public health, and, refer the guy to me and all of that. And we need to talk about what exactly he needs to do. And then these guys will pay you when you do their job. So the reality is, this is how the money comes for a data guy, right? And that's the opportunity you have, as far as I'm concerned, even while you are working in Nigeria. Yeah, I was telling someone, I said, if you're a data person and you're good in data, I don't think you should, japa. I don't think so. Stay in the country, no matter what it is, the country will get to an equilibrium at one point in time. But you can cash out money, any point in time, with the knowledge that you have, right? You could even be taking classes for some schools, right? Virtually, abroad, there are thousands and millions of schools now, right? Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, doing schools and all of that, you could learn as much as you can, right? building some of this capacity as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I could say about salaries and what you could get around data.
Thank you very much, Karim Rashid. I really enjoyed, every way you've answered this question. It's really, really, really interesting, to have you here, share your wealth of experience with us, and carry us in this data ecosystem journey with you. I'm sure that we have a lot of people on this call that have clarity already, and they're pumped to, start their journey as soon as possible. So thank you very much, guys. I want you to thank Rashid, in the chat box, right? Type thank you, Rashid. You can also connect with him on LinkedIn. Yes, that's his name on LinkedIn, right? The way it's been typed on your screen. You can connect with him on LinkedIn, for mentorship and any other thing that you feel, right? Thank you very much, Rashid, for doing this with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, so guys, I would just like to, move on to other stuffs I want to share with you on this call today. I'll just quickly share with you our program structure. Our program is so structured that you have hands-on trainings and you can learn from practicing professionals. So the trainers in our faculty are senior data analysts, data scientists, data engineers. These guys, that is what they do, on their day to day. That is their job. So you'll be learning directly from these sets of people. You'll be learning what you need to succeed, to how to use these tools, to succeed as a data, analyst. Then you also make sure that you work on portfolio building. What I mean by that is you work on multiple projects, right? A lot of projects with us, and these projects make up your portfolio, right? It's very, very good that when you go for interviews or you're being recruited, um, interviewers, or maybe you have a conversation with like the head of data analytics or the chief data scientist, and this person asks for your portfolio for things you've worked on before. It's very good that you have projects that you've worked on in your portfolio. These are the kind of things you also have opportunity to um, get with us, right? And how we support our students. We make sure that you join, our vibrant community of data analysts from over 30 countries. Yes, I mean that, over 30 countries. And also we host sessions like this, just like this kind of session that we are on LinkedIn optimization session, because I can tell you, me, I'm a testimony of getting a job on LinkedIn. And I'm sure that you also heard when Karim mentioned about LinkedIn being able to help him get opportunities too. A lot of people are getting opportunities on LinkedIn every day. What is every day? I think per hour, sir. So yeah, so we also teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn and position yourself. Then we also have sessions on CV review, interview preparations. You need to be able, after getting this skill, you need to learn how to position yourself to access opportunities. It's very, very important. You are learning these skills so that you can access opportunities. And we understand that. We want to be able to brag, about your success stories. That is what we love doing. Me, I like bragging about success stories. So definitely, we want you to succeed so we can brag about your success stories. I know you can be the happy person you want to be. Then we also have sessions on how to access remote jobs. They're like live sessions like this. Hearing from people that have accessed remote jobs, international jobs, just like Rashid has mentioned on this call today. So guys, we have a class that started today. Yeah, we have a class that started today. Data analyst track program started today, 10 a.m. However, you can still join the group, right? The first two classes are free. That's the class today, and the class tomorrow is free. After the first two classes, you can now, if you want to continue, you can now, enroll properly to continue in the classes. So if you still like to join, I will drop the link to the group. Please hang on 1 second. Drop the link to the group on the chat box right away so that you can join the group. The class that you missed today, you also have access to the recording, in that session. Don't worry, you have access to that recording in the live session, and you will be able to join your class. So I'm just dropping it right away. I'm dropping it right away. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I'm dropping it right away in the chat box. So you can join the group. I just dropped the link in the chat box now. If you're looking at, joining our class, our data analyst class, it's ongoing. It started by 10 a.m. today. The second class will continue tomorrow. The first two classes are free, as I mentioned earlier. Please feel free to join your class and join that group and have access to the opportunities that you want. If you also want to reach out to me, Joseph, right? The first number on your screen that ends with 2511, you can send me a WhatsApp message. Yes, we can have a conversation. Yes, I'm open to having a lot of conversation with you on how you can get started. So, guys, it's been a very wonderful day today, right? And I want you to, join that link. I just dropped the link in that chat box again, and feel free to reach out to me. Have a wonderful afternoon if you are here in Nigeria or in the West African time zone or anywhere you are joining us from. Just have a wonderful day. And if you have to go out and have fun too, please go out and have fun, relax for the week ahead. But please make sure that you decide to start your journey as soon as possible. Say no to procrastination. I want to see you in class very, very soon, guys. Thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.